Coming up on today's Locked On Angels, the Halos got a new coach, and they're reportedly looking at Luis Castillo and Max Scherzer. Let's answer your questions today and break it all down. That's all right now on Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Locked On Angels, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day every single day. I'm Steve Granado, your host. You can shoot me a follow over on Twitter at Steve Granado. That's Granado. We got some news to get to. It's Monday here on Locked On Angels. So, of course, we have a Monday mailbag as we do every Monday here on the off-season edition of Locked On Angels. So in case you ever haven't been a part of these, you can always shoot us a tweet on Sunday during the day. Shoot us a tweet if you have a question about Angels baseball or anything else, baseball in general. You can always shoot us a tweet at Locked On Angels over on Twitter. Of course, give us a phone call, 714-409-6396. We have some news to get to first. We're going to sprinkle that in with some of your questions. We have a voicemail a little bit later, a little bit of a jam-packed show. Hopefully you all had a good Thanksgiving, by the way, and a good happy holiday weekend. Okay, let's go ahead and jump right into the news. This coming out here over the weekend on the 27th of November. This is coming from the Los Angeles Times and Jack Harris. Angels reportedly planning to hire Phil Nevin as third base coach. Reads to go on here. After recently interviewing Phil Nevin, the Angels are reportedly planning to hire the former New York Yankees third base coach for the same role in what would be the team's first coaching addition this offseason. On Saturday, a report by Ken Rosenthal of The Athletic said the Angels are planning to hire Nevin to one of the three open positions on the coaching staff. Nevin recently interviewed with the team, according to a person with knowledge of the situation, but the team is yet to make an official announcement. That, again, is coming from Jack Harris of the Los Angeles Times. So it looks like Phil Nevin is going to be the Angels' third base coach, not third baseman. That would be a bad idea. Phil Nevin, of course, very local guy from Fullerton, went to Cal State Fullerton and El Dorado High School, not too far away from Fullerton, just down the street. So he is a very, very local guy. He also played for the Angels once upon a time, spent some time in San Diego, coached in the area here in Orange County before when his coaching career began. So he's a very, very local guy. So I got to imagine for Phil, this is awesome and feels great to be coming back home. I'm happy for him. This is going to lead into our first question. We got a question here from Zach, Angels fan 1522 over on Twitter this past Sunday. He said, what are your thoughts on the Angels bringing in Phil Nevin as the third base coach? I'll say this much, man. I mean, one, just on a personal level, it's super cool to see that the Angels will keep it local. I know that that's such a thing that Joe Madden loves to express. I know that he loves the history there with Cal State Fullerton, and the local baseball scene here in Southern California, and how rich it is here in Southern California. So that on a personal level is really, really cool. As far as like bringing in a third base coach, like that's a thing that most fans are never going to really notice, right? It's kind of a replaceable position as long as you know what you're doing. It's kind of like umpiring, right? It's like, it's not a problem, it's good if no one notices it. I guess that's the best way to put it. If no one notices it, then that's a good thing. So in that regard, I mean, he's been doing it for years. I have no qualms about him being able to do the position, but the thing on the side there is, yes, he is involved more so during practices, batting practices, and breaking down players' swings and things like that. That is more so the things behind the scene that we will never get to see as fans, right? So will Phil Nevin bring a unique perspective? That is to be seen. I don't know much personally about him. I've never had any personal interactions with Phil, but I know that, he's a super local guy, and that's really cool, and I got to imagine that's exciting for him. So good for Phil Nevin. The Angels fill one of their holes. They still have some holes in the coaching staff. They need a first base coach. They need a catching coach as well. So that is not done just yet. Okay, we have more coming in here over the weekend. Some more. These are now some rumors that we have heard. This is coming from John Rossi on Sunday morning. Sources, Angels and Reds have had preliminary trade talks on a Luis Castillo deal, but the price remains very high and the sides are far apart as of today. Again, that is on Sunday, November the 28th. We have yet to do our making the case for Luis Castillo trades here. Of course, if you've been following along on Locked On Angels, we've been doing a series called Making the Case, where we dissect at length the trade targets and free agent signings. We have yet to get to Luis Luis Castillo. That is potentially coming here soon, so long as the deal doesn't get done before I can get to it. We did have a question about this. This is coming from Wes. Hey, Wes, thanks for checking in again, man. He says, do you know how, quote, high the Reds' demands are for Castillo, Adele, or Marsh, and what? Thanks, Wes, for your question. Appreciate you checking in here a couple of times over the last few weeks. Yeah, I mean, everything that we have seen, I don't have any insider knowledge that you guys aren't getting on Twitter either. So this is more just so my take on it. But everything we have seen seems to be that the Reds are asking high, and deservedly so. If they want to move their young star pitcher, then yeah, they should want something in return. That's how a trade works. That's the whole idea. But yeah, as far as that's concerned, yeah, it seems to be that anyone coming towards a trade with the Angels right now, it would be insane to think that that team is not going, is Adele available? Is Marsh available? Is Jeremiah Jackson available? Those are the guys that have to be on the table. Or is Reed Detmers available? Is Packy Naughton available? Like the big names that we're expecting to contribute in 2021 or 22 rather. Yeah, of course those guys got to be on the table if they are asking. If the team is asking, that's where they're coming at, right? Whoever, they're trying to get something for their best piece right now, right? So never fault a team for wanting to get something in return. That's the whole point. I think where the pause is the Angels are going to do their best to hang on to those players because they need those corner outfielders, if not a center fielder here in the next couple of years. And Adele or Marsh could be the guys to fill that spot in 5 years' time when Trout inevitably probably switches to right or left field. So those things, I would imagine, are what is the holdup, a potential holdup in that, right? It seems like the Angels aren't close, according to John Morosi. But yeah, I'm not shocked that is the potential question. Is Adele or Marsh available? I got to imagine yes. And to your point, and what? I don't know if it would be that high personally, but I got to imagine one or both would be at least asked about. So we have more coming from John Morosi over the weekend. This is also from Sunday. He says, Max Scherzer is talking with Angels and Dodgers, among other teams. Sources confirmed. John Heyman reported earlier that Scherzer expected to sign by Wednesday. It was about an hour and a half or so before that John Heyman tweeted, top free agent starter Max Scherzer is expected to make his decision before the impending December 1st lockout. Dodgers, Giants, Angels, Mets among teams in. So this is a little more fuel to the fire. It looks like Scherzer is, at least according to Heyman and Morosi, is trying to make a move rather quickly here, is trying to sign that dotted line and get that physical in before the December 1st deadline. Sheesh, if I could speak, that'd be great, which is coming up here in a couple of days. So, we're seeing some guys sign a little bit earlier than typically over the last couple of years, trying to get it in before the lockout, because it seems like this lockout is going to last for quite some time, at least from everything that we have heard thus far. So we'll see. I just wanted to make sure that everybody is aware that, we laid it out and are making the case for Max Scherzer, that it would be insane to think that the Angels weren't interested in signing him. If they do sign him, we would break that and dissect that down further. So make sure to hit that subscribe button and, of course, follow along on whatever podcasting app you use for whenever that information drops. But that's I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware that one is interesting. It's not surprising, but it seems like he's narrowed it down to a couple of teams, and we may be getting some news on Max Scherzer here in the next couple of days. This podcast is brought to you by DirecTV Stream. Does this sound familiar? You've got one device that lets you catch the game live, another one that lets you stream your favorite shows, then you're watching sports highlights on your phone, you're scrolling through Twitter, and you have everything open, and it's a total mess, right? Well, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all the entertainment you love without the hassle, and a great way to finally get your TV together. It's called DirecTV Stream, and it brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, so you can watch all your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes, no more new devices or getting things that are only compatible with this, none of that. And the best part, there's no annual contract. So get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package. Okay, back here on Locked On Angels, Monday Mailbag. We got plenty more. Let's go ahead and start this second segment off with a voicemail.
Hey, Steve, this is Mike Hawkins again. I was going to call last week as a big-time Angel fan. I get a lot of crap from my friends that we're wasting the career of Mike Trout. And I was going to call and ask, do you think that he is beginning to look at his big-time contract and having second thoughts and maybe wanting to redo this? But now that we're actually making some of the moves that really we should be making, still just curious, what's your thought process? Do you think that Trout still is looking and is feeling like we're going to be doing what needs to be done? This is the first year, to be honest, in the last 5 or 6 years, I'm beginning to feel optimistic, which is a good way to feel. And I'm overall beginning to look forward to what's going on for 2022. I think it's going to be a good thing. Again, keep up the good work. We're loving it. Happy Thanksgiving. Talk soon. Bye.
Hey, Mike, thanks for calling in, man. I appreciate the love. Hopefully you had a happy Thanksgiving. I know this one came from last week before Thanksgiving, so happy belated Thanksgiving. Happy holidays to you, Mike, and your family, of course. Is Trout rethinking his decision to stay with the Angels? I'm not going to put words into his mouth and try and guess what his thought process is. I've had very minimal interactions with Mike Trout. And have never, in a very minimal professional interactions with Mike Trout. So not a ton there personally, so I'm not going to put words into his mouth. This is what I'll say on the topic. I think it would be insane to think that he hasn't thought about it, just as a human being. He thought about the decision to stay in Anaheim 1,000 times over before he signed. You got to remember, it's so easy to talk about these people like they're not people, right? Him signing with the Angels long term, got to imagine, was the biggest decision of his life, right? That has to be at least one of the biggest decisions of his life. So he molded over time and time again and went over the numbers and did a pros and cons and talked with his agent, talked with his family, talked with his wife. Like, all these things happened before he signed that dotted line, right? So he went a million rounds on the decision. If you do anything big in life, right, just think about when you buy a car, right? When you buy a car, you think about it 1,000 times and which dealer am I going to go with, and the APR, and you mull these things over in your head a million times over. So you're always going to think about the alternative. But ultimately, Trout's been a professional this entire time. Yes, he has spoken out more recently in the last year or so about the team's need for pitching and to be more competitive, and it is clearly starting to bother him, but he signed the contract, and that was his decision, and he mulled that decision over a million times over. So I can't imagine that, there could be, I'm not going to, again, put words in his mouth, but there could be some regret there. I don't know personally. I'm not just going to text Mike and be like, hey bro, do you regret signing with the Halos now? You made a point there. It seems like the Angels are starting to move in the right direction, and I got to imagine that gives him at least a little bit of reprieve on that. But thanks again for calling in, Mike. You can always call us 714-409-6396. We'll always take your voicemails 24/7, 365. Don't worry. You can always give me a call. Okay, we got one more question here in this segment. This is coming from another Mike, Michael London, over on Twitter. Michael London 9 said, what would be a good deal for, I'm assuming this is a typo, Craig Kimbrel? Plus, if they did that and also re-signed Iglesias, could they afford a Robbie Ray or a Marcus Stroman? I know they'd have to go close or over the luxury tax, but what would the penalties and all that look like? Thanks for your question, Michael. I believe first time I've seen you checking in here, so welcome to the Angels Mailbag family. Okay, Craig Kimbrel. This is what I'll say. I think Craig Kimbrel right now is pretty far down on the list as far as Angels interests, I would imagine. I still think Reisel is number one. And then if that falls through and he goes somewhere else, then it's Kenley Jansen is number 2. And then they would explore a trade after the fact. I think that trade last, right? I think trade is last right now because they don't necessarily have the assets to move. Craig Kimbrel wouldn't demand, obviously, like what a Luis Castillo would. Obviously, the Sox have made it known that Craig Kimbrel is available, or at least they're listening on offers. But I think that's pretty last-ditch effort, and I don't think that would include an Adele or Marsh. That would be a pretty tough sell. No offense to Craig Kimbrel. I think he's a very fine pitcher and a great closer, but I don't think he's the first option right now. I think the Angels are going to explore free agency a little bit more before they get to that point. As far as the luxury tax, this is coming from franchisesports.co.uk. These are the penalties for the luxury tax, in case you weren't interested or didn't know. Hopefully you're interested. This is direct. It says when a team goes over the luxury tax for the first time, it must pay a 20% tax on the difference of the amount it went over. If they go over the threshold 2 years in a row, the team pays a 30% tax on the difference in year 2. If that team goes over again for a third year, the penalty rises to 50%. That was from this past 2021 season. Obviously, that could change here by next season in 2022 and moving forward with the upcoming CBA and the lockout and all that information will be coming here shortly. But yeah, that's the penalties right now. Who knows what the landscape looks like in 2022. Michael, thanks so much for your question, man. I appreciate it. Of course, you can always check in. We have more questions here today, so don't go anywhere. Of course, we've got plenty more, and we have it every Monday, so you can always shoot us a tweet over at Locked On Angels and our voicemail line, of course. It's here, the best Monday of the year. It's Cyber Monday, and Built.com is the place to aim your mouse. Get at least 20% off everything delicious and healthy. That's 20% off site-wide, and even bigger discounts on Built Boost, broth, and Built swag. And, of course, a brand new Built Bar flavor has just landed in time for Cyber Monday. Caramel Almond Delight. Oh, sounds so good. And it delivers everything it promises. Caramelized chocolate, check. Almonds, check. Delightful, double check. Be sure to get yours before they're gone. Only 150 calories, 17 grams of protein. And this season, maybe you're also craving white chocolate. For a limited time, get the special new Built Bar Puffs flavor, white chocolate cheesecake, the yummy protein treat filled with a marshmallowy center covered in white chocolate. Oh, my mouth's watering already. Get to Built.com for these incredible tasty new bars and 20% off everything. Head to Built.com, enter code LOCKED20 before it's too late. Back here on Locked On Angels, final segment of the day. Thanks for checking us out and making us your first listen. Maybe we're giving lessons too. Okay, here's a couple more tweets coming for you guys over the weekend. You guys are awesome. Thanks so much for being a part of the show. That's what I really want to do here. This one's coming from Insight for Artie. I've seen you checking a couple of times. Thanks for your tweet. Are there any other players other than C-Rod, of course, Chris Rodriguez, that will be unavailable for spring training that we know of? We got to go back a little bit. Thanks so much for your tweet again. This is coming from MLB Trade Rumors back in August. Remember, Griffin Canning potentially might not be available for spring because of the stress fracture in his lower back. This is what it had to say back in August. For the pitching thin Angels, they'll now lose a depth arm for the remainder of 2021 and possibly the start of 2022. We have not, at least to my knowledge, I haven't seen any updates on Griffin Canning or what's going on with him. We haven't seen him pitch in quite some time, so it is still a potential possibility. We did not know what the timeline was at the time back in August, and again, have not really gotten an update since. So I don't know. That would be the only one in my head that is outstanding on what is going on for spring training. So you might have to wait to see Griffin Canning down the line. That is, again, back in August. So that is the last update I have heard on Griffin. But we'll see. We'll see where it's at. Of course, we still got plenty of time until spring training. And who knows how much longer. Okay, we got one more question here. This is coming from Hordes. Thanks for checking in again, bro. This is what it says. This isn't an Angels-related question, but do you think Semien's deal with the Rangers for 7 years, $170 million is an overpay? Thanks for your tweet here today. Of course, the Rangers made a deal with runner-up to the MVP vote. Marcus Semien is headed to Texas, which makes him back in the AL West. Yippee-doo. Super excited. Great. But also the Rangers did end up signing Cole Calhoun, by the way, who we floated as a potential Angels option in the outfield that may be reuniting. That is not going to happen. Overpay? No. I don't really think in those terms. I'm sure you got to be a pretty avid listener of the show. I see you checking a lot here. So you've heard me and how I think about things as far as front offices, money, and money in the game. I don't really like to think in those numbers, scope kind of thing. And I will say that anytime I see a deal that comes out, my brain goes like, well, that's the market. That's what they want. the players signed on the dotted line, and that is what they want to do. I will say that there are things where I think it's an underpay, like a situation that just happened in Tampa Bay. But I wouldn't consider this an overpay. I don't think that's ever a word I like to personally use, because again, that's what the market dictated. That's what the player agreed to. I do think that there are some players who kind of get bullied into signing bad deals, or how arbitration works out. All the things that are coming up here in the CBA. I guess is probably the easiest way to put it. But yeah, I mean, that just Marcus Semien's back in the AL West. Now we're gonna have to see him for the next 7 years. That's where my brain goes. I go, oh geez, man, now we got to see him. Whatever, 20 sometimes a year. Great. Now we got a guy that has clearly found his swing over the last 2 full seasons, 2019 and 2021. His 2020 was decent, but 19 and 21, he really seemed to shine, especially with the power numbers, and we're going great. Now we get to see this guy back in the AL West. But yeah, man, thanks again for your question. You can always check in Sundays. We always send out the tweet. Head us up over at Locked On Angels. I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Angels the first listen of the day. For your second listen, check out Locked On Bets, your daily one-stop shop for all your gambling needs. Locked On Bets, hosted by your boy Q, with expert analysis and insight from Lee Sterling. Of course, don't forget to hit us up at Locked Angels, and then of course our voicemail line 714-409-6396. If you want to check out my other podcasts, I have a baseball one that might be really, really good for you during this upcoming lockout, because there's going to be a lack there of baseball news. So you might look towards some history, find some history baseball podcast I started called Our Game. It's an 8-part docuseries. You should definitely check it out. And of course, if you want something completely different to get your mind off the CBA, then movies I should have watched. Hit me up over on Movies I Should Have Watched. We're watching all Christmas movies here in the month of December. Love Actually, Jingle All the Way, Christmas Vacation, When Harry Met Sally, all of them. We're banging them all out, so go check it out. Movies I Should Have Watched. It's free everywhere. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us here in today's Locked On Angels. We have some CBA coverage here over the next couple of days, so keep an eye out for that. We'll see what happens with the Scherzer situation before the December the 1st deadline. We shall see. There's plenty of information coming here 5 days a week right here on Locked On Angels. All right, guys, thanks for checking us out. Have a great day. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Later.